Welcome to the Tech Mobility Podcast, brought to you by Playbook Investors Network, your strategic partner for unstoppable growth. Visit pincommunity.org to get started.
I'm Ken Chester. On the docket, the United States has lost its maritime focus, the RV is becoming an energy platform, and why women over 50 are the future of work. To add your voice to the conversation, be it to ask a question, share an opinion, or even suggest a topic for future discussion, you can call or text the Tech Mobility Hotline. That number, 872-222-9793. Or you can email the show directly, talk@techmobility.show. From the Tech Mobility News Desk, we need to have a talk about EVs. Yeah, I know. I talk about EVs a lot. You're probably sick and tired of it, but I want to make a point during this visit. Most people inside and outside the industry assumed that when the federal credits, the federal tax credits for EVs expired, was canceled, was discontinued last year, that EV sales would basically crater. And to a degree, they did, to the point where automakers were reassessing their direction and their commitment to building EVs in the future. And it got expensive. $19 billion write-off for Ford, almost a $16 billion, and these are both with a billion write-off for Honda. In fact, Honda went even as far as to suspend its relationship with Sony. They were bringing to market something called the Fila. We've reported on it here, which was an EV. Honda was going to build it. Sony was going to help design it. It was going to be the perfect match of technology and entertainment. Honda gave all that up. All of it. That's what makes what I'm about to share with you so unbelievable. This is a headline. This is from Automotive News. Volvo ramps up EX60 production to meet demand. The automaker sees strong demand in Europe for its midsize electric SUVs ahead of U.S. launch. This is happening now. The lead. Higher than expected consumer demand for the new EX60 midsize electric SUV has persuaded Volvo Cars to boost production capacity at a Swedish plant. You heard me right. I said boost. That's an increase. Volvo said nearly all major European markets are supporting retail orders considerably higher than internal forecasts. More than 3,000 orders have been taken in Sweden alone just after a month of its launch in January. The pace of new orders, in fact, is significantly higher than it was for its entry-level EX30 compact electric SUV, believe it or not, with a lower price point. Let me stop right here. Last year, I got to drive the EX60, and I'm here to tell you two things about it that stood out. One, you have to basically relearn everything that you know about driving a car. Where the controls are placed, how the controls function, how you interact with them, everything. But in exchange for that kind of ruthless revisit, this vehicle rewards you with performance that you will talk about for months. The performance in this thing is outstanding. Unbelievable. I have no words to describe it, but driving it, I'll never forget it. And I did drive the year before that, the EX30, which was cute and it was quirky, but the EX60. Here's why this matters. Volvo is looking for the EX60 to replace the XC60, which is the best-selling vehicle in their lineup. Now, bear in mind, the world is reassessing its commitment to EVs. Current situation across the world notwithstanding, but people are reassessing. As they reassess, automakers decided, well, for most of them, we're going to dramatically cut back. Now, bear in mind, Volvo, and they're not alone, not every automaker that cut out. Ford still builds the Mustang Mach-E. GM still builds full-size pickup truck EVs as well as SUV EVs and the Equinox EV. They still build it with no signs of backing off. So it's not a zero-sum game of whether you've got EVs or you don't. Yes, the market is pivoted towards hybrids in the United States, and that makes sense from a value standpoint. But what makes this so incredible, this is not an inexpensive SUV. If I remember correctly, this thing starts in the mid-60s and goes up cost-wise. Yet they can't keep up with demand. Volvo says that the model is priced to compete against its best-selling plug-in, and that's that XC60 sibling, and they're expecting to move this to America later this year. They're going to move production of the EX60 to the United States, their plant in South Carolina, this year. Volume is so above what they planned that they're actually meeting with their unions to keep their facility open for an extra week this summer to meet demand. And I quote, a move that would be the first in the company's history. Volvo's never done that for anything else they've built. That's why this is so amazing. This is an EV. It ain't trying to be one. It was an EV built from the ground up. A Volvo EV. And it's not something that you're going to get in and drive immediately because you're going to have to relearn because of how the switches and the layouts is very different. And it would be my one complaint about it is that I basically had to relearn everything because it's not typical of what Americans are used to. But the reward, though, the reward for that learning, the reward for taking the time to learn the vehicle, it delivers a driving experience you will not soon forget. Volvo's quote right here. We are very encouraged to see such strong demand for our game-changing electric SUV, and we are now reviewing our production plans for 2026. Imagine that. And while Volvo as a whole was dealing with global markets and everything going on right now, the sales were down. The article goes as far as to say, however, the bright spot was electric vehicle sales. Electric, not hybrids, electric, which rose 18% for the period, while hybrid and internal combustion engine vehicles fell 17%. And believe it or not, plug-in hybrids fell 16%. Volvos. People want an electric Volvo. The consumer has spoken and decided that an electric Volvo is something they want in their driveway, and they're willing to pay the premium to get it, so much so that Volvo has got to go to the unusual step of being open one more week in summer to meet demand for the first time ever. What does that tell you about what's going on? And I'm not talking about gas prices right now. This was happening before that. Because this is Europe. But they're on track because you have to understand in the auto industry, and I've explained this before, long lead times. They're not going to pivot on something that happened 3 months ago. What they're doing now was planned 2 to 3 years ago. And every automaker is like that. They are still committed to building an EV, a pricey EV, in the United States of America. And they expect that they will be able to sell it with no problem. It's not always one world, folks. And the auto industry has always been like this. It's amazing. If you have the right product at the right time, people will pay for it. People will buy it. Just so happens that this time it's an EV. The head of the Federal Maritime Commission says the U.S. has lost its maritime focus. That's next. You are listening to the Tech Mobility Show.
In business, opportunity doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Playbook Investors Network, we connect visionary entrepreneurs with the strategies, resources, and capital they need to win. Whether you're launching, scaling, or reimagining your business, our network turns ambition into measurable success. Your vision deserves more than a plan. It deserves a playbook that works. Playbook Investors Network, where bold ideas meet bold results. Visit pincommunity.org today.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
Excuse me. Allegheny has Super DC-9 Fanjet service to Albany, don't they?
Yes, sir.
But I don't want to go first class. Well, it's not that I can't afford it. I just don't want to be pretentious. On the other hand, I don't want to go coach either because I don't want to feel like a peasant walking through the first class section.
Well, sir, Allegheny is really in a class by itself. Our Super DC-9 Fanjets give you custom class service. You get more comfortable seating, and the price is comparable to coach fare.
Oh, well, you see, it's not that I'm caught up in this whole status thing, but could you arrange for me to get on the plane early in case anybody I know is sitting in the first class section?
Sir, the Allegheny Fanjet fleet is all one class.
No separate cabins?
No, sir.
Oh, well, would you have a seat available where the first class section usually is? The Allegheny Air System has a lot more going for you.
You may not recognize the airline. It has a special place in my heart. Allegheny Airlines, based in Pittsburgh, now through many mergers, part of American. But back then, the Allegheny Air System was not only just Allegheny, but they also had smaller jets that fed their system, hence an air system as opposed to an airline. The reason why it's so important and the reason why I like this commercial, it's the airline my dad went to work for in the early 1970s. He wasn't too long out of airline master aircraft technician school. And it was a big deal. And he would work for Allegheny, which became U.S. Air, U.S. Airways, got merged by America West, then merged with American. He would work there 29 years and retired. So that's kind of pulls at the strings a little bit. And yes, I flew my first time ever. I was 15 years old. We flew from Boston to Pittsburgh by way of Allentown. And if you've never landed at Allentown in the middle of a cornfield, you don't know nothing. And all I saw was corn. We're coming into Allentown. I didn't see any airport. I saw corn. I turned to my dad kind of in a panic and said, Dad, he's getting ready to land us in a cornfield. And right then is when we saw the runway. So a lot of memories. I've flown a lot. It's been a long time ago. But Allegheny, just a blast from the past, and I thought I'd share. According to Laura DiBella, she's the chairman of the Federal Maritime Commission. Every major conflict or issue around the world today incorporates maritime space. With the priorities of the Federal Maritime Agency reshaped, Due in part to the pandemic supply chain crisis, the feds are taking a wider, more global approach with the belief that the ocean must be the first step in the global shipping supply chain. This is topic A. Let me ask you a question, because it's something I wanted to know when I saw this article. And I said, well, how many shipyards that are non-military are still in the United States of America, and exactly what do they make? You know, do they make any of the big tankers, any of the big container ships that are going around the world? Well, I looked it up, and there are roughly about 6 that are not military that build stuff. From Philly Shipyard in Philadelphia, General Dynamics in San Diego, Keppel FELS in Brownsville, Texas, Bollinger Shipyard down along the Louisiana-Mississippi coast, Vigor Industrial, believe it or not, in Portland. And here's one, Bay Shipbuilding Company of all places, Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, which is Door County, people. And that one just focuses on Great Lake freighters and commercial vessels. Most of these do not build those big animals. General Dynamics, Philly Shipyard, they do. Keppel and Brownsville, mainly commercial ship building and repair, which does include container ships. And Bollinger and Vigor, to a lesser extent, more specialized commercial water-going vessels. But those big ones, the big ones you see in the bay, the big ones you hear about, the big container ships, them huge ones, aren't built in the United States. And I want that to sink in a minute. We talk a lot about transportation on the Tech Mobility Show. Ocean shipping, ocean supply chain, moving across the ocean is transportation and impacts you way more than you think it does. We've had examples in the last 6 or 7 years, the tie-up at the Suez Canal, the current challenges now in the Middle East, the pandemic, have all impacted ocean travel. In fact, maybe about 3 years ago, we were dealing with a longshoreman strike out on the West Coast. And when I was out there, I happened to be Laguna Beach. And I looked out onto the ocean, and I counted within my sight at least 6 or 7 container ships that could not dock. And that was just a few of the 200. What doesn't come by truck or rail at some point has probably been in a container on an ocean-bound ship from somewhere to a port in the United States. It impacts you more directly than you think. The issue that the feds have is that because of the fragmented nature of the maritime industry, one size does not fit all. You can't even apply the same judgment from port to port. What goes on at the port down in Mobile may not be what goes on in the port of Los Angeles, which may not be what goes on in New York and New Jersey. Different solutions demand different approaches. And that's part of the challenge that we have right now. We have never, as much as we do now, count on ocean trade for much of our living, whether it is fuel, whether it is food, whether it is manufactured equipment. Chances are a container ship brought it, or a ocean-going tanker brought it. And I haven't even begun to talk about Great Lakes freighters, which are almost as large as the ocean-going freighters. I've had the opportunity to sit at the top of the Lower Peninsula in Michigan, right there where underneath the Mackinac Bridge, and watch some of these freighters almost as big as the ocean freighters I saw. That's a whole category by itself and requires different approaches. The biggest challenge we've got right now for our maritime is getting the United States back in front, getting U.S. crews and U.S. ships and U.S. things to control so we don't get jammed up. And for the longest time, the United States has had laws. You may have heard the Jones Act, which requires American crews, American ships, and American content in certain situations. But I wanted to share that with you. It is a thing, and we are not where we need to be relative to the thing. And it's a full-time job that we're addressing, but it's something you don't hear about every day, which is why I'm sharing it with you, because you need to know, because this does impact you more than just what you're reading about right now. It impacts you in ways you never imagined. The RV is no longer a vehicle with an attached living space, but a united system. We explore that next. This is the Tech Mobility Show.
You've got the drive. You've got the vision. Now you need the right partner to make it happen. At Playbook Investors Network, we power ambitious leaders with the tools, insight, and investment connections to move faster, grow stronger, and lead markets. We're more than advisors. We're your co-pilots in success. Because in business, standing still is not an option. Playbook Investors Network, fueling ambition, delivering results. Visit pincommunity.org.
Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out. In today's market, what's going on now is not your grandfather's RV. Today, the RV is considered to be more of a unified system, integrating mobility, energy, and habitation. A number of enlightened companies have adopted this approach in response to client needs and capabilities. This is topic B. RVs got repurposed during the pandemic. People looked at them as added living space, added place where you could have an office isolated from folk. But they never looked at it the same way. From those days, folks were looking at it as a power supply. Folks were looking at it for having access to the internet, all sorts of things. It became more important outside of cities. It became more important as folks started to really grapple with, if I'm going to have an RV, and I really, really, really want to live off the grid, and that means living beyond campsites, basically go where you want to go, do what you want to do, then a different approach is needed. And a growing number of companies are meeting the challenge. They don't look at it as a vehicle with an attached living space, but that unified system integrating mobility, energy, and habitation. Let's talk about this a minute. In the case of some Airstream models, it actually has batteries, EV batteries, where in certain situations, the trailer can park itself. And on the road, in some cases, it can aid the tow vehicle with extra power. They're combining solar panels. They're looking at EV batteries for folks who truly want to get out and get off the grid. Something that up till now, EVs promised, but you were limited to certain things. For years, the future mobility had been framed around cities, dense, optimized, increasingly automated systems designed to move as many people as possible with as little friction as possible. But when you step outside that context, the assumption begins to break down, particularly when you get in a rural and off-grid context. Then mobility is becoming about autonomy. How far can you go? how long can you stay, and how little you depend on anything external. Think about this. The typical RV is good, but it needs, going to a campground, you want to plug it in. You're going to want to dump your wastewater. You're going to want certain amenities that you will need in those situations. But what if you're one of those that says, you know what? I really am serious about being off grid. I'm really serious about being out here. So information, access to the grid, access to power, internet, stuff like that without having to plug in. That's the shift. And that shift is reshaping the recreational vehicle sector. What was a niche market defined by incremental upgrades, like better installation, lighter materials, marginal gains in comfort, is now becoming a test bed for self-contained infrastructure. Let me turn that word, self-contained infrastructure. In other words, I don't need nobody. I don't need nothing. I want to be off grid. I want to go where I want to go without being tethered to a campsite or having to plug in. I really, really, really want to feel the freedom that an RV promises, but only partially delivers. With this in mind, that modern EV is evolving into a system that must generate, store, and manage its own resources. Companies called SkyDream, and they were founded a couple of years ago. It's an IV-based startup, if you can believe it. And they're not approaching RV products in the traditional sense. The ambition for them is less about redefining leisure travel and more about addressing a fundamental constraint: how to sustain life in movement in environments where the grid is either absent or unreliable. I want that to settle a minute. As Americans, the call of the open road is the most visual form of expression of freedom that we have. The ability to get in and go wherever we want to go. As far as we can go, we want to go. Freedom. Whether we go by car or we go by train or we fly or we take a boat, we want to go. However, all of those have limitations on how far you can go. As the company puts it, the RV industry has a massive user base but stagnant product experience, with pain points clustered around safety, usability, and energy dependency. If you've seen a large diesel pusher, I mean literally a house on wheels, not a home, a house on wheels. These things will set you back $500,000-$600,000 on wheels. That thing has some needs, has some power needs, has some water needs. Question is, that limits your freedom. The engineering response is to treat those problems as system-level constraints rather than isolated design flaws. In the case of SkyDream, they describe its vehicles as an attempt to deeply integrate new energy and intelligent driving technologies already applied to passenger vehicles, intelligent smart home systems, and mature manufacturing experience from Europe and the United States. And the result, according to the company, is intended to be an intelligent, mobile, and flexible living space that can be placed anywhere. Anywhere. We've talked about EV RVs, electric RVs. We've talked about that, and there's some movement. It's been a while since we've talked about autonomous RVs. And to be honest, we're still years away. We're still years away. It's something on the horizon, but it's not close. But I could only imagine if and when they get to that point. There are a growing number of companies that are redesigning defining the RV experience. And the RVs of today, and more importantly, the RVs of tomorrow, aren't going to have any resemblance, hardly, to the RVs that your parents and your grandparents drove. They talk about eliminating a lot of the pain points, leveling the thing when you get there, connecting it up to tow it, things like that. They want to automate all of that and make it idiot-proof, if you will. But can you imagine an RV that you could honestly, truly take anywhere for days, maybe weeks, without having to plug in or interface with a campground or anything? That's where they're going. That is true freedom. And that's really the Holy Grail, to make it self-sufficient so that you can go anywhere. In the age of AI, the future of work is women over the age of 50. Who knew? We are the Tech Mobility Show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than aonmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. aonmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
In business, opportunity doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Playbook Investors Network, we connect visionary entrepreneurs with the strategies, resources, and capital they need to win. Whether you're launching, scaling, or reimagining your business, our network turns ambition into measurable success. Your vision deserves more than a plan. It deserves a playbook that works. Playbook Investors Network, where bold ideas meet bold results. Visit pincommunity.org today.
Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out. For years, companies have been chasing youth in order to prepare for the future. Digital fluency, technical skills. It seemed that those who were digital native would be best equipped to meet the future corporate challenges head on. But what if the whole assumption is wrong? What if the very skill sets and competency needed is hiding in plain sight? This is topic C. And I'm glad this came up because I want to talk about this. I knew the answer to this 30 years ago. I learned as a supervisor for a local company quickly. If you want something done, you want something done right, and you want a group or a staff or something that will make sure it gets done and look out for you, back then I'd say, hire a mom, a woman who's had children. This article goes a little further and says that industry has spent years overlooking one of the most strategic talent tools already available to them: women over 50. Let me break this down for you. Women who have had life experience, working, raising a family, balancing a million different things, would be best equipped in this rapidly changing industry or world that we live in. Why? Been there, done that. They don't panic. they don't break. They have skills, they have dedication, and they have commitment. This is an article that I found in Fast Company magazine. And it says, and I love the title, Why Women Over 50 Are the Future of Work in the Age of AI. And I love the subheading. And why you should hire them to survive in a world of chaos. It gives 9 points. I want you to hear the 9 points, and then if we have time, I will go back. Demography is on their side is number 1. Number 2, they are the veterans of career transitions. Number 3, they know how to learn. Number 4, they bring judgment in an automated world. Number 5, they bring emotional intelligence to organizations. I'm going to come back to that one in a minute. Number 6, they strengthen intergenerational workplaces. Number 7, they are often deeply motivated to contribute. Number 8, they are agile in times of crisis. And number 9, they help companies understand the society they serve. I'm not going to get a chance to cover all these in detail, so I'm going to skip around. But let me get to number 5, because that really hit me, and I've seen this firsthand. I'm a man of a certain age, been married to a woman of a certain age for 46 years. My wife's one smart cookie. Lady's level-headed, stable, solid, raised 3 kids, spoiling our grandkids, all 6 of them. Takes a lot to ruffle that woman. But the knowledge that she has gained, she's been in the workplace, she's had children, she's raised children, we've helped raise our grandkids. She has a level of knowledge and stability that would be an advantage to any company. Because the lady's been there and done that. Number 5, they bring emotional intelligence to organizations. As work becomes more digital, more hybrid, more fragmented, organizations depend on even more on people who can create trust, resolve tension, and keep teams functioning. At least 1 or 2 of my kids owe their lives to their mother. Because when you talk about emotional, when I wanted to go one way, she was the voice of reason and talked me down. Women over 50 often bring strong interpersonal skills forged not only through formal work experience, but through years of invisible labor, coordinating, listening, mediating, caring, anticipating needs, and managing relationships. These capacities are still routinely undervalued because they are associated with femininity and because they are difficult to quantify. Yet, they are central to organizational performance. In chaotic times, the people who can keep human systems working are indispensable. Trust me, she is. I want to deal with these, number 7 and number 8. Number 7, they are often deeply motivated to contribute. Contrary to cliche, many women over 50 are not winding down, and I say amen to that. Quite the opposite. Midlife often brings a sharper understanding of one's strengths, limits, and aspirations. Many women at this stage are more interested in meaningful contribution than corporate theater. In other words, if you don't want drama, hire a woman over 50. They know what they care about, what they are good at, and trust me, what nonsense they no longer wish to tolerate. And my wife's very plain about that. This often makes them highly effective. They may be less ready to play status games, but they are frequently, deeply motivated by usefulness, autonomy, and impact. And in a period when so many organizations are struggling with disengagement, that matters. Number 8, they are agile in times of crisis. With an oil shock, economic turbulence, and geopolitical instability looming, or already unfolding depending on where you sit, Companies need people who know how to operate when the script no longer works. Women over 50 have often spent years adapting to scarcity, uncertainty, and institutional dysfunction, whether at home, at work, God forbid, or both. They know how to do more with less. They know how to reprioritize, improvise, and keep going when systems fail. They're often pragmatic rather than ideological, flexible rather than brittle. In an economy shaped by repeated shocks, that kind of agility could be a growth strategy. Companies looking for new sources of resilience and invention should start betting on those who have already learned how to survive upheaval. I am a witness that these are factual. In my years of running a business, in my years of supervising others, I would gladly take on an older woman with experience, even if she was a housewife for 30 years, because she brings a stability to the place and a common sense that's often lacking. And when everybody wants to throw their weight around, they're very often the voice of reason.
This is the Tech Mobility Podcast.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than aonmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. aonmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
You've got the drive. You've got the vision. Now you need the right partner to make it happen. At Playbook Investors Network, we power ambitious leaders with the tools, insight, and investment connections to move faster, grow stronger, and lead markets. We're more than advisors. We're your co-pilots in success. Because in business, standing still is not an option. Playbook Investors Network, fueling ambition, delivering results. Visit pincommunity.org.